Please share your thoughts in comments and like this video. The story begins in the demon castle where the hero is lamenting that they weren't even able to defeat the demon king's aid. A demon who defeated him stood in front of him. He had a black hair and red eyes and he stood before them like an overpowered villain. But unbeknownst to them, the demon Youki was glad that he was able to defeat them. He may be a demon now, but in his past life, he was a human named Yuki. Basically, this is how he looks now after reincarnating in this new world. It was great and all that he had got cheat-like abilities. But instead of being reborn as human, he was born as a demon. The horn on his forehead and the wings on his back serves as proof that he was not a human. By the way, the guys on the floor in front of him are members of the hero's party. This place is the halfway point of the demon lord's castle. Up ahead are the higher-ranked demons and the room of the demon lord is in. Basically, he was just a mid-boss of this place. Youki wondered about what to do. Until the hero defeats the demon lord, the world will never find true peace. If the hero were to be wiped out by a mid-level boss, he was sure that the world would fall into panic and disarray. Since it really wouldn't be good for the world to be never peaceful. He decided to heal the members of the hero's party and dump their bodies in a nearby village. He decided to lie to the higher-ranked demons that the hero's party ran away. First is the hero, Yuga. He swung his sword at Youki as he exclaimed some novel lines like Holy Sword, Excalibur. So Youki also spoke some novel lines and blasted him with some magic. Next up is the mage, Mikana. She kept giving the hero seductive glacés before they even began to fight. So he blasted her without holding back. The third member of the party is the swordsman, Raven. He was a handsome man with a cool demeanor and Youki got irritated just looking at him. So at the start of the battle, he used a high-level dark magic to make him disappear. While the hero and the mage was flustered, he blew them away once again with his magic. And the last one is the cleric Cecilia. She had a golden eyes and blue hair. After defeating the rest of the members of the hero's party, he got behind her and knocked her out. Seeing that she was not injured, Youki was relieved that he didn't need to use healing magic. But he was worried about what to do with her as she was right in his strike zone. She's an absolute beauty and Youki also fell for her. He thought about having her as a prisoner of war. But if he did something reckless, the demon king would get mad at him. Though if push came to shove, Youki had the ability to defeat the demon king with his cheat skills. But he didn't wish to become the new demon lord after that. He called his underlings to take care of the heroes. As he felt that it was wrong to have a prisoner, he ordered them to drop all of them at a nearby village. Youki bid his farewell to his angel, Cecilia. 3 days later, the hero's party came to the demon castle again to challenge Youki. He introduced himself in a dramatic manner. But the words spoken by him gave a clear meaning that he was just a lowly officer of the Dark Knights. The hero was surprised to hear that Youki was just a lower-ranked demon. But he still prepared to fight. Youki lost his focus upon seeing Cecilia once again. But he still managed to dodge every attack of the hero. The hero was mad and asked Youki to take this fight seriously. He came to his senses and decided to fight seriously as the hero asked. He casted his high-level dark magic, Endless Dark. That strong attack knocked out everyone in the blink of an eye. Youki went ahead to see Cecilia and was relieved to see that there weren't any notable injuries. He thought about the possibility of her using her shield to protect herself. Once again, he magnanimously healed the hero's party before ordering his underlings to dump their bodies in a nearby village. He repelled the hero's party advance once more. In the end, the demon lord and the high-ranked demons began to think of the hero's party as weaklings. But they didn't know that the low-ranked demon was actually stronger than the demon lord. If he wasn't there, the hero's party would have already defeated the demon lord. He decided to let them pass next time. But he also noted that Cecilia is not only beautiful but her personality is also great. So he decided to take them on. They came once again where the mage referred to Youki, the boring demon. Youki was mad to hear her calling him boring and the cool swordsman is still unsociable as ever. Nevertheless his angel, the cleric, is looking as cute as usual. She asked them all to fight to their utmost ability. Youki took a deep breath and shouted the same novel-like lines. But he showed a new pose while speaking all that to impress Cecilia. The hero leaped forward to attack but there was no way they were going to defeat him this time either considering his cheat abilities. He believed that they would be swallowed by their feelings of inferiority and would stop the fight on their own. But that never happened, so he decided to talk about it himself. He mentioned how it was impossible to defeat him. The hero also agreed to that, but he wanted to fight for the sake of suffering people like always. Youki asked him to leave Cecilia with him as a deal for letting the other three go forward. The mage was laughing at the new development while the other three heroes were shocked to hear it. The hero refused to do that as Cecilia was his precious comrade. Youki asked him if he was willing to let this chance pass. He asked them whether they needed to start off at the nearby village once again. The mage asked the hero to accept the deal. Even though Youki was considered as a boring demon, they had to agree that his magic powers were the real deal. She convinced the hero that saving the world was their priority. Seeing the hero hadn't made up his mind, the mage mentioned that Cecilia would hold herself against him. She wanted to use that time to defeat the demon lord, and they planned to come back to save her. In the end, the hero decided to leave Cecilia behind. Youki also moved and let them pass through. Hero moved ahead while he vowed to Cecilia that he would come back to save her. After they left, only Youki and Cecilia were left alone in the room. He got nervous to be in the same room with his crush. Cecilia was ready to cast magic, holy laser. Even though she knew that she wouldn't be able to leave a single scratch on him, she was determined to struggle until her last breath. Youki asked her to calm down. Cecilia refused to do that as she felt that he was trying to let her guard down. Youki denied that. She then inquired if he was planning to bully her before killing her. He also denied that and mentioned that he would have done that sooner if that was really his purpose. He explained that he fell in love with her at first sight and confessed his feelings. He asked her to go out with him. Cecilia was totally shocked at this new development. But in the end, she rejected Yuki's feelings. Now it was his turn to get shocked. He sat down in a corner and exclaimed that it was time to die. Cecilia wanted to encourage him, but she then remembered that he was really an enemy. She casted her magic, but Youki didn't even resist her. When she inquired about it, he mentioned that he wanted to die since she turned him down. She shouted at him to not mess with her. Youki felt that Cecilia was cute even when she is mad. But it doesn't matter to him anymore. It's because living would mean continuing to be stuck in this room. He'd only leave to attack people, but he was unwilling to do that. Hearing all this, Cecilia was shocked. She had never met a demon like him, as all the demons were supposed to be savage and cruel. Youki revealed that he was a human who got reincarnated after he died in a traffic accident. Cecilia wondered if such a thing was really possible and asked him why he didn't allied with humans. Youki was sure that no one would believe him if he said that and asked for her answer for that question. She then asked him to defeat the demon lord so that he should be freed from this room. But Youki didn't want to do something troublesome like that. He knew that he would become the new demon lord and he detested it. He also had enough of this life of always staying inside a room. That's why he had actually planned to create this opportunity to confess to her. With this, he was planning on ending his life as a demon. Since the other heroes were strong, he was sure that they would be able to defeat the demon lord. Youki felt that things were fine as they were progressing. But to his surprise, Cecilia denied that. She asked him to use that power for the sake of humans. Since he was strong, she asked him to change himself to a human appearance. If he could do that, Cecilia was sure that there won't be problems for him to blend into the human society. So she proposed to him to go out with her to the outside world. On that day, the demon lord was defeated and the world returned to peace. In the kingdom of Clarine's capital, Minerva, people were celebrating the return of the hero after defeating the demon lord. That news spread like wildfire and the whole world rejoiced. There was a massive parade in the capital of the kingdom of Clarines which had selected the current hero. While such joyous events were taking place, Youki arrived at Minerva's Adventurers Guild. After being persuaded by Cecilia in the demon lord's castle, he snuck out. And so, with the help of the map Cecilia gave him, he made his way to his destination, Minerva. By the way, the members of the hero's party were told that he had died already. But he didn't know clear details about that. He went inside the guild and shouted that he wanted to register as a member. A person named Clayman came there with his iconic dead eyes. He never thought that someone would come there when a huge parade of the heroes were taking place. Youki mentioned that he would like to register as a member of the guild. Since most of the staff were off right now, he searched through the shelf with an exasperated look. He was mad at his staff for leaving work just because they wanted to get a glimpse of the bloody hero. He just casually cursed them all in front of their client. He found the registration paper after some time and gave it to Youki. He asked him to fill in the details like name, age, and sign that his death is his own responsibility. After Youki filled it, he gave it to him and got his guild card. He is now adventurer Youki and his age is 21. Clayman asked him to not lose his guild card since there's a replacement fee to get a new one. He asked him to lose if he wants after 3 days. As the staff were all absent and would be back only after 3 days. Since Clayman would be the person who had to look after those troublesome processes if he lost it before that time. Youki was really exasperated to see how lazy Clayman was. He asked Youki to do his best but only after 3 days. Otherwise Clayman would be forced to look through all those requests, which was an additional work for him. It was evident that he hated work that much. At sunset, Youki came to the Adventurers Guild after completing as many requests as he could, ignoring Clayman's complaints. He was grumbling about processing the completed requests, which was a huge pain in the ass. But that's not Yuki's problem. He booked an inn and stayed for the night with his hard-earned money. He wanted to save more money by raising his rank. And once, he got to the point where he could make a solid living. He decided to confess to Cecilia one more time. He decided to attain his love life this time, which indicated that he never had that in his past life. He got too excited that his thoughts never let him get a good night's sleep. 1 week had passed since he had joined the guild. He had completed enough requests that he was able to rise to AD rank adventurer. Youki once again went to Clayman to submit the completed requests. He berated him for not going to the counter where the pretty ladies were. Since that was the place every adventurer would turn in their completed requests. Youki teased him that he was used to his face at the counter and wanted to do it like that always. Clayman was mad at Youki for making his workload bigger. Though the other staff came, Youki kept going at him all this time. Though Clayman always complained about his work, he had done his job properly after all. Youki bothered him to do his job and Clayman tried to explain something about his circumstance on that parade day. But his speech was interrupted by the noise made by the crowd that was gathered inside the guild. A young woman's voice was heard from there which asked everyone to make a way. Youki and Clayman were surprised to see Cecilia there. She came there to pick up Youki. After some time, they were on their way to Cecilia's mansion. She apologized for taking some time to meet him as the celebration took longer than she had thought. Youki didn't mind that because he had a chance to enjoy life in another world due to that. He exclaimed that Cecilia found him quicker than expected. She explained that she had also thought it would be difficult to find him. But it was easier for her since he hadn't changed his name or appearance. Youki argued that he had changed his appearance. He had endured the pain and broke his horn and wings. It was the price he needed to pay to enjoy his reincarnated life with Cecilia. Is it really a disguise? Anyway, Cecilia was worried about her hero's party finding his true identity. Since they had already met him. They finally arrived at Cecilia's mansion and Youki was amazed to see the size of it. Suddenly 2 spears were drawn before him and the 2 guards asked him to get away from Cecilia. It's just like when he left the guild. All the people were jealous at a nameless adventurer hanging around Cecilia, a member of the hero's party. Even the coachman was suspicious of him throughout the journey. Cecilia interrupted them and ordered them to lower their weapons towards his friend. The guards were disappointed but they had to follow their superior orders. They still detested him as they thought that he was not good enough to be with Cecilia. After entering the mansion, Cecilia and Youki gather around a table for a meeting. She requested Youki to leave the guild. He was shocked to hear that and asked for a reason. Cecilia explained that although the Demon King was defeated by the heroes, however the danger of demons remains. Because the demons still exist and only the Demon King has died. Though their movements have reduced without leadership, they still could cause significant damage to humans. However, the demons were not the only threat. Since the Demon King had died, conflict may begin between countries. In particular, there are rumors that the Garrus Empire, a military nation, has begun to prepare weapons. There's a movement to recruit talented people in many countries including the Clarine's kingdom. For example, the hero already has a mountain of engagement talks from princesses and daughters of noble families. Youki was amazed and felt that it was expected of the hero who slayed the Demon King. Cecilia explained that it was not only for the hero but for other members of the hero's party as well. Youki was shocked to hear that and inquired whether Cecilia had also got those. She confirmed that but mentioned that she already declined all that. She asked him not to interrupt her again. But Youki was glad to see that Cecilia was still single. She explained that there might be a chance that he would also be recruited by other nations if he becomes a famous adventurer. So she likes to hire Youki to work for her personally. Since he came to know the reason, he asked Cecilia if she could afford to pay him. Since she already knew his powers, she wasn't sure if she could afford to hire such a high-level fighter. She exclaimed that he had romantic feelings for her and blushed after it. She didn't mention the remaining words. Youki asked her to stop it right there. While it was true that he wanted his love to be fulfilled but not in this way. He got into his delusional novel mode and exclaimed that no assassins or spies could be his opponents. Seduction was also out of the question as she was the only one in his eyes. So there was no way he would be recruited by other countries. The situation got awkward between them for a moment. Cecilia burst into laughter upon hearing it. She apologized as she had never expected such things. Youki also felt embarrassed as he got too passionate and said some weird things. Cecilia now totally believed that he was human in his past life as no other demon could be this funny. Youki was shocked and asked if she didn't believe him before. Cecilia replied that she just wanted to double-check. After she decided to leave and mentioned that they would meet again. Youki also agreed to that and mentioned that he had one last request. He wanted to call her by her name from now on, and she also decided to do the same. After promising to meet Cecilia again, he went home. He didn't sleep that night again as the distance between them had been reduced considerably. The next day, he was happy and went to Cecilia again. But to his disappointment, the guards didn't let him as Cecilia was having a meeting with the hero. But he couldn't do anything about it. So he decided to hang out in the town. While he was wandering, he came upon a crowd of people. Raven was caught in the middle of them. At first, he didn't recall him immediately but found it when a person shouted his identity. It was Raven, the swordsman from the hero's party. Seeing his expression, Youki found out that he seemed to be in trouble. Maybe it was because he was pretty unhappy himself, so he decided to help him out. He shouted and showed the wrong direction and exclaimed that the hero was there. The crowd soon began to run towards that direction. Youki considered them as nothing but simpletons. But Raven just stood there as he had no idea how to use that opportunity. Youki grabbed him by hand and dragged him to a desolate place to escape from the crowd. After helping him, Youki advised him to disguise himself next time to avoid trouble. As he was leaving, Raven asked him to stop. Youki was surprised to hear his voice for the first time. He never thought that such a handsome and cool guy would have an anime-like voice. It was also confirmed that was the reason for him to not speak too much anywhere. He advised him to not find fault at his voice as everyone had something that they didn't want to broadcast to the whole world. Raven was glad to hear that Youki won't laugh at his voice where most people tend to do so. It was evident that Raven had a hard time because of his voice. Youki decided to leave before Raven began to think him as rude to a hero party member. But he was stopped by Raven. He wanted Youki to be his friend. Youki was shocked to hear that, and Raven explained that only his mother and cousin were the only ones who didn't laugh at his voice. Since he was also the same as them, Raven wanted to be friends with Youki. He also felt that there would be no problem, so they both introduced themselves. 20 years after his reincarnation, Youki had finally made a friend in this world. Even though Raven had the feeling that he had met Youki somewhere, he failed to recognize him. Few days later, Youki went to the Adventurers Guild to have a simple meal. He felt that he won't get a quest if he won't eat it. When he ate one bite, a beautiful woman came near him and exclaimed that it was an amazing meal. Youki wondered about the beautiful woman's identity as he had no memory of meeting someone like her. But he still got the feeling that he had seen her. Just like how Raven felt about him. The beautiful woman exclaimed that Youki was amazing just as her daughter mentioned. Youki was shocked to hear that. She introduced herself as the mother of Cecilia, Celia Aquarain. Youki was totally shocked to see his future mother-in-law, and he ate the whole food in one gulp to calm his nerves. After eating all that, Youki asked her the reason for her visit. She found Youki interesting as she watched his activities more. She came there to apologize to Youki for the rudeness displayed by their guards a few days ago. But Youki didn't mind that as he thought that they were just protective of Cecilia. He also got to meet someone because of them. Hearing the word someone, Celia had her own doubts about their relations as she heard that Youki was in love with her daughter. She asked about the relationship between him and the new girl. She clearly misunderstood the whole situation, and Youki cleared it as he mentioned that it was a boy. She apologized for doubting him as she felt it was quite troublesome to have a womanizer associate with her daughter. After that, she asked him to get ready to leave. Yuki expressed his doubts about where they were going. But when Celia mentioned that they were going to meet Cecilia, he accepted it right away with a big smile on his face. When he reached the mansion, he found out that the two guards who behaved rudely to him had changed. Celia mentioned in a villainous tone that the two guards were replaced and asked him if he wanted to know what happened to them. Yuki was scared and mentioned that there was no need. Celia changed to her usual appearance and asked him not to worry. The previous were receiving a scolding from the head maid who was used to be an A-rank adventurer. But for some reason she decided to retire and become a maid. Yuki had to admit that the head maid was rather strong. Celia mentioned that the head maid was scary when she's angry but she's sweet to her husband. But it seemed that they had a big quarrel. The husband was seriously injured even though he was also an A-rank adventurer. In the end, it took him half a month to recover. She also didn't forget to mention how she cared for her husband after that. Yuki was shocked to hear it and exclaimed that it was a happy couple. As they spoke of the devil, the head maid came towards them. She introduced herself as Sophia and Yuki greeted her. But he still felt that Sophia just looked like a normal human. Celia and Sophia talked about the guards. Sophia mentioned that they had fainted numerous times so it was taking longer for her. She inquired to Celia about how many bones she needed to break. Yuki took back his statement about her being normal. Sophia volunteered to show him around the mansion. While they were going around, Celia signaled Yuki to come. They both peeked into a room and found Cecilia in her sleepwear. Yuki was glad to see her like that. Cecilia was shocked to see Yuki in her room. She used her magic to attack him upon impulse. Yuki was hurt as he didn't keep his defenses up at that time. Afterwards, Yuki kept kneeling to ask for forgiveness. Celia asked her daughter to forgive him for peeking at her. Cecilia also came to know that it was another trick of her mother. Anyway, Yuki wondered why they brought him there. Celia explained about the day Yuki came there to have a discussion. Celia was also there at that time and she watched it all. She did the pose Yuki did when he was confessing that Cecilia was the only one in his eyes. She teased him for that and he felt so embarrassed at the thought of it. Finally, Celia decided to get down to business. She inquired whether he heard about the marriage proposals. It was basically a political marriage to gather talents. Celia mentioned that among them that Hiro was also asking for Cecilia's hand in marriage. Yuki was mad when he heard about it. It seemed the hero also had feelings for Cecilia and she had already refused it. But the hero refused to give up. He shouted at the hero for targeting his lover when he already had that mage and princesses in the line for him. He was accusing him of trying to ruin his love. Celia exclaimed that Yuki loved her daughter much upon hearing all those words. After Celia inquired whether Yuki was willing to marry her. Cecilia was also shocked to hear it and Cecil urged Yuki to answer immediately. He was quite shocked to hear that as it was such a once-in-lifetime opportunity. But he refused to do that even though it was such a tempting offer. Since he had already been rejected once, Yuki decided to confess again after building a decent life for himself. He went on to explain but Celia stopped him. She exclaimed that he had passed the test. She would also never agree to give her daughter to a man whom she had just met that day. She also felt that it would be troublesome if a bug got attached to her daughter. She mentioned that Yuki would always be welcomed here as a friend. But somehow, Yuki felt that he had got Celia's approval. Thus begins the story of Yuki, the reincarnated demon's journey to win the heart of the priest of the hero's party, Cecilia. Like and subscribe to know more interesting stories like this.